This video will show you how to use data from Do the Math in EdPlan. On your screen, you see the student recording sheet from Do the Math. This module is focused on fractions A. You can see in the top right-hand corner, it says fractions A. Each of the modules has 5 or 6 different module objectives, and those are the objectives listed on this tracker sheet. Originally, this tracker sheet was designed so that every time you gave an assessment, you would put all of your students for a single assessment on this sheet. But in order to use it for EdPlan, you need to record all of the data for a single student on this one sheet. So we just made our own lines where it says teacher, and you could place the teacher name and the student name on there, and all data on the tracker will belong to a single student. There are really 2 kinds of tests in Do the Math. One kind is a kind that has 20 questions, and it assesses all of the items in Do the Math, or all of those focus skills in Do the Math. And those are on the beginning of module assessment, the middle of module assessment, and the end of module assessment. The beginning of module assessment and the end of module assessment can be found in the back of the module teacher guide. The middle of module assessment can only be found online. So if you're using that middle of a module assessment, you will have to use the online piece. Those questions have 20 items, and students just receive a % score on how many they get correct. And you can see in this example, the student got 30% correct on the first module, or the beginning of module assessment. If you look over on the left is the next kind of assessment, a show what you know. The show what you knows come at the end of every week and usually assess several of the module objectives, but not necessarily all 6. So you can see in the second column where it lists, it says lesson 5, show what you know. And by the way, it's every 5th lesson where these show what you knows come. So you can, if you scan across the top, you see it says 5, 10, 15, 20, and on. And so what you can do for these, because you kind of have to build your own rubric. So for example, on this one it says name the parts of a whole as fractions and use standard notation. So 4 of the items on this test were identified as doing just that, and we can see that this pretend student got 3 out of the 4 right. And then there was the next one where it says identify equivalent fractions, and there were 4, and the student got 0 right. In the next 3 rows you can see an NA, and all of those NAs mean that this show what you know didn't assess those module objectives, so we just have an NA. And then the last one, it looks like the student got 2 out of 4 right. Now if you look down at the bottom, these can be totaled. So there were a total of 12 possible points that the student could make, and the student got 5 of those correct. So you can see just down below the student has 42%. That was the first show what you know. And then when the student gets to the second show what you know, you can see what that show what you know looks like here. And there were 20 total identified points, and the student got 10 of those. The next one shows the show what you know for lesson 15, 14 points, 7 out of 14, and this continues on. Each time if there is a skill that's not assessed, it will just say NA all the way across. If you look at this, you can see that usually 2 to 3 of the module objectives are being assessed, although not all of them on these. Now what you'll find is that the middle of module assessment, and then the beginning and the middle and the end of module assessments, all of those assessments, those 3 will assess all of those. And so really you can just put a percentage down at the bottom like you can see here. So if we were to look at the progress of this student, the student had 30%, and then slowly moved up so that they have 90% now. So we would say that this intervention was effective for that student. It's important that you're using this objectives tracker for single students rather than putting a group of students on there, because if this data is going to be used for a tier 2 or tier 3 intervention, a copy of this document might need to go in their folder. Thank you for watching this video on how to record data from Do the Math in EdPlan. Thank you.